On November 8th, I will vote for the first time in my life. Now, this is groundbreaking for me because I have lived my entire life as an expatriate in 3 different countries without ever being able to participate in the political system. For the first time in my life, I will march to a local polling booth, equipped and ready to take part in the government of my country. I will cast a ballot to express myself. I will hope that my action will have an impact on policies that make a difference to all our lives. And I will vote because it took me 15 long years of being an immigrant in this country to get that right to vote. 15 years of wishing and hoping and praying and staying put to become a citizen. I want to tell you about that 15-year journey, what I did to keep staying in this country, and how I went about getting my citizenship. My talk today is about shedding light on the complexity of my legal immigration journey. I admit, I don't have the solution to the problem of either legal or illegal immigration. But I'd like to give you a glimpse into what it takes to become a citizen of this country. I'd like for you to understand what it takes to be a legal immigrant in the US. I'm hoping that by doing so, I will be able to help you understand or help you answer a question that often comes up when we talk about immigration, particularly illegal immigration. The question of, well, if they wanted to stay in this country so badly, why don't they just make themselves legal? Or, why didn't they come here legally in the first place? I think it's really important to answer this question because of the narrative, this very, very interesting narrative that's around immigration in today's world. And this narrative is that against the backdrop of criminal, rapist, drug-carrying illegal immigrants, there exists a magical legal immigrant who obeys the law the way it's supposed to be, who goes by the system, who never stays in a country without papers, and who works hard and then becomes a citizen in a glorious, straightforward, easy triumph of legal righteousness. It's a really simple theory. It's pat, it's easy to repeat, and can be summarized into short sound bites. It also speaks to the us versus them rhetoric, where the us are the privileged who obey the law, and the them, the lawless minorities, who could be good if only they learned to do things the legal way. Who are these magical privileged immigrants? I'm one of the privileged. I had the economic means to become a legal immigrant. Though my citizenship journey took me 15 years to complete, it was one that I was able to take part in with a total and absolute rigid observance of the legal process. And I'm here to tell you that it was not pat. It was not easy, nor was it simple. It was tedious, costly, and bureaucracy-ridden. And it looked nothing like the journey of, say, a high-profile model who gets their permanent residence after just 4 years of living here on some kind of visa. My immigration journey started in 2001 in sunny Dubai, where after having been accepted to a university and going through the visa application process, I stood in line at the US Embassy for an F1 student visa. This is the non-immigrant type of visa for foreigners wishing to study in the US. Within an hour, I was issued an F1 student visa. Within a month, I'd relocated to Missouri. The first 5 years that I lived in the US were a true culture shock for me. I went from the bustling city life of Dubai to the laid-back charm of a rural Midwestern town. I couldn't relate to people who told me what it was like when their towns got their first stop signs. Not even a stop light, just a stop sign. But I totally understood their love for Family Guy and the Harry Potter books. My Missouri friends, they didn't get my spicy food. I didn't get their love for sugary treats and this horrible, no-good medicinal Dr. Pepper. But we agreed that the Lord of the Rings movie was amazing and Jon Stewart was appealing. Technology and pop culture allowed me to assimilate faster into a new place. But there were still moments where I felt like an alien. It was the tiny questions that told me that maybe I didn't quite belong. Does your home in India have a toilet inside the house? How do you know how to speak English when you grew up in Dubai? Is India and Dubai the same country? Are you sure you weren't accepted to our university because you're the token international? Despite these microaggressions, I decided that I wanted to experience a little bit more of America. To do that, I needed to find a job because my F1 student visa would expire very soon after I got my degree. I had to find a company that would sponsor my work visa or the H-1B visa. Now, finding a job when you're fresh out of college is a difficult experience in itself. But finding a job that would sponsor your work visa, now that's a special kind of soul-searing experience. It was 2005. By the end of the year, I would finish my master's in mass communication. I would graduate summa cum laude with several experiences under my belt. I had served as a vice president of the Honor Society of the National Communications Society. I had taught as a graduate teaching assistant. I'd worked for the local PBS affiliate. I'd completed 3 internships, one for the Baptist Hospital, the other for a startup, and the third for Target. I naively thought I was ready. But despite every interview I was invited to, the caveat of the H-1B work visa made progression difficult. The United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, or the USCIS, defines the H-1B work visa as a program to employ people with specialized knowledge, often with a bachelor's degree or higher. You basically have to prove that the job you're carrying out is so complex, so unique, that it requires a highly specialized degree. For the company, it means that they have to bear the cost of your filing applications, the cost of your lawyer, and also have to demonstrate that they have made good faith attempts to recruit US workers for the same position. They have to show that by hiring you, they're not displacing any US worker. Once you've convinced a company that you are worth going through all these steps, there's still a huge amount of chance involved in getting the H-1B work visa. The USCIS has an annual visa limit for the number of H-1B work visas they give out every year. This means that you have to hope and pray that they don't get more applications than they have visas to give out. Because if they do, and your application doesn't meet the cut, then you have to wait another year to apply again. A year for which you have to figure out what to do with your status. In 2016, the USCIS received 236,000 applications within the first 5 days of opening up the process. But their annual visa cap limits them to 65,000 H-1B visas. That's 236,000 applications for 65,000 available H-1B visas. So what they do is they use a computer-generated random selection process, basically a lottery, to select the lucky 65,000 people from the 236,000 applications. Now, if you are lucky enough to get an H-1B visa, your entire presence in this country is dependent on the favor of your company. You feel stifled to go for things that others consider normal. A race, moving to a new city, the freedom to pursue jobs that you really want. Because you don't want to go to the rigmarole of lawyers, of explaining the H-1B work visa to another company. And when you're close to the 6-year limit of your H-1B work visa, you have another choice to make. You can either leave the country, or if you want to continue to live in this country, you have to get on the path to citizenship. You have to apply for permanent residence or green card. Now, someone once told me that if you want to be a US citizen, the best way to go about doing it is just to be born here. But if you happen to be born outside, the US has two popular ways for you to get permanent residence or green card. You can apply for it through specialized work, which is, where your company sponsors your green card, or you can apply for a green card via family who are citizens. Now, for green card seekers who are applying on the basis of family, who are not direct family members, the US has a limit on the number of visas that each country can apply for. In 2016, that limit was 25,620 per country, irrespective of the population size. This means that Malta, with a population of 423,000 people, has the same number of green card visa allotments as Mexico, with a population of 11.2 million people. That's 25,620 green cards. Because this allotment is what it is, and the USCIS is understaffed, and the demand for green cards so high, you have to expect a very long wait if you're from heavily populated countries like India, Mexico, the Philippines, or China. For instance, the USCIS is right now considering green card visa applications of Indian siblings of US citizens who applied in 2002. This means that if I, being the citizen, were to apply today for my siblings to immigrate to the US, their case would probably, hopefully, be heard in 2030. If we were from Mexico, it would be heard in 2035. In the Philippines, 2039. In 2010, after 5 years of being on an H-1B work visa, I got a very lucky break, and I was invited to apply for a green card. After the year of filing applications, showing my financial well-being, being medically tested for communicable diseases, having my fingerprints taken, going through a background check, being interviewed, in 2011, I was finally given a green card. In May of 2016, I received my oath. It was gloriously emotional to take the oath, to register to vote, to identify myself as a member of this or another party. There aren't enough words to describe to you the relief, the mixed emotions that comes from taking the oath, of leaving behind the country of your birth and joining the country of your choice. America had become home. The ideals, the values, and the tolerance of this country sat better with me than those in others that I've lived. My story had a happy ending, but I'm also deeply aware of how privileged and lucky I was. I had the economic means to hang on, but I know that's not the case for everybody. The thing about life is that it keeps going, sometimes in very difficult ways as you wait for that elusive visa, that elusive citizenship. A loved one gets cancer, you get married, you watch your marriage die, your work collapses, and you rebuild your work, all while wishing and hoping and dreaming. And if you don't catch lucky breaks like I did, or have the means to sustain yourself till that break arrives, well, I completely understand why you would be forced to make difficult choices, especially if you have no sunny Dubai to return to. This is the fallacy of the why don't they just get in line legally narrative, that the benefits are simple and just when you follow the right path. Because sometimes it is simply not a possibility for others to have the resources or even the pathway to do so. And here's why the fallacy is also unfair. In 2014, there were 319 million people living in the United States. Of the 319 million, 42 million were termed immigrants. Of that, 31 million fall under the legal category. And the illegal or the unauthorized category, that's 11 million. That's 3% of the entire US population. If we were to apply those statistics using this audience as a sample, that means that of the 700 of you, 21 of you would be illegal or unauthorized. 21 out of 700. At a very basic level, I will be happy if I can persuade even a single one of you who's bought into the false narrative that getting in line legally is the only answer to the problem of illegal immigration. I admit I don't have an actionable takeaway for you. There's no organization I can ask you to join, no website I can ask you to go to. My takeaway for you is that you now have access to information that you previously did not have, that will make you take a more compassionate view on how you look at immigrants, how you treat immigrants, and how you vote on immigration issues come November 8th. Thank you.